Alright guys, so welcome back. So if you're looking at this video guys, you're probably progressing quite a lot through the videos. Here we're going to be dealing with the principles topic. The principles topic is it doesn't always come up, but when it does come up, it's pretty straightforward, and most of the time you can quite easily get the marks. So hopefully guys, these set of videos is going to be very useful for you, and without further ado, we're going to continue. So what we're going to look at first guys is the IMAT 2018 assumptions questions. So let's read this together. It says food manufacturers should reduce sugar levels in processed food. This is because there are too many overweight and obese people. Since people are unable or unwilling to make sensible decisions for themselves, manufacturers must take responsibility for rectifying a problem to which they contribute. And so which of the following illustrates the principle used in the above argument? So guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute, be sure to be back after that, and then we're going to go through the solution. Or just continue watching because this is the first principles question, and then we can go through the technique of how you would approach such a question. All right, guys, so principles. So basically what a principle is basically every argument has like a structure, right? And essentially the idea is that you're trying to find an argument. It might not necessarily be linked to food in this case, but any argument whose structure or framework is basically similar. The way they're getting to the conclusion is very similar. Okay, so basically what we have here is that essentially we have a problem right here. In this case is going to be obesity, and we have something causing the problem. So I'm just going to call it a cause. So a cause is causing a problem, and in this case is the sugar levels in unprocessed food. The problem is basically obesity. So basically, what's contributing to many people buying a load of sugary food? Well, it could be just the person, right? Or it could be the people who are making that and making it available. So basically the company. So I'm just gonna write comp, right? So basically what we're trying to look for is that's basically in a nutshell the framework of the argument. So we're basically trying to look for something which kind of emulates that, right? So let's look at the first one. The cigarette package should have plain packaging and display government health warnings. So this is kind of similar because it's kind of saying that the but not really the company, but the government. So this, even I don't really like it, but I can see why someone might go for that. But this is more talking about the company rather than the government. So you can't be this one. In order to reduce sugar intake, food with high sugar should be taxed more heavily. So that's rather targeting. This is rather targeting the person. In this argument, they're saying manufacturers. Here I can say manufacturers. So it should be these people who we target. So it can't be this one. Power tools should have clear instruction in order to reduce the number of accidents caused by incorrect use. Again, this is targeting users. This is helping users, right? And the argument is more targeted towards companies. Labeling on food should be improved so that consumers are clear about the level of sugar in their product. Again, targeting consumers. Can't be that. So it must be E by elimination, but let's just prove it. To reduce the number of deaths caused by excessive speed, car manufacturers should incorporate speed limits in vehicles. So this is really good because clearly you're targeting the manufacturers. And can you see, guys, in principle questions as well, the argument can be something completely different. So here it's to do with cars, whereas in the passage is to do with sugar. And a lot of students get caught out and be like, oh, according to other questions, this is completely relevant, but it's actually very different in this case. So hopefully, guys, over the next questions, you get used to that. So that's why this is going to be our winner, and E is going to be the correct answer. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. And as always, we look forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, guys, so welcome back. So previously we looked at the first principles question to do with sugar and how companies should be responsible with, rectifying a problem which they have contributed towards. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. Now we're going to move on to the next question, which comes from IMAT 2017, question 17. So let's read this together. It says, car drivers understandably become very annoyed at high taxes on fuels. In the interest of fairness, money raised from fuel taxes should be spent on maintaining roads or even on subsidized public transport. In fact, much of it is put to other uses, such as providing healthcare or improving national defense. The which of the following is an application of the principle underlying the above argument. So guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute, be sure to be back after that, and then we can go through the full solution. All right, guys, so let's look at this. So let's reread this. The car drivers understandably become very annoyed at high sale taxes on fuels. In the interest of fairness, money raised from fuel taxes should be spent on maintaining roads or even on subsidizing public transport. In fact, much of it is put to other uses, such as providing healthcare or improving national defense. So basically, in a nutshell, what this passage is trying to say is that, so whatever it is, so any given good. So for example, it can be you pay taxes on, let's say, your TV usage, right? But then what the argument is basically trying to say is that the money you get from that should be used to improve that service further rather than it being used to improve other services. So if I kind of was to draw this um, in a diagram, you basically have a product, right? And from this product, you're gaining tax, which is basically money. And basically trying to say this money you get from tax, you should re-put into improving that product, and you shouldn't be putting this tax into, I'm just going to call it, other things. So you shouldn't be doing that. That's basically what he's trying to say. So A, money raised by taxing fuel should be spent on improving roads. Um, Money raised by taxing fuel should be spent on improving roads rather than on public transport. So this is kind of okay. We'll come back to this one, so but I'll just consider it so far. Um, B, better transport is more important than national defense. That's just random. It doesn't really link with this framework we just described there, so it can't be that one. Maintaining roads should be higher priority than spending on healthcare. Again, doesn't give that structure, so it can't be that one. Profits from sporting should be spent on encouraging people to participate in sport. So this is actually really good, isn't it? Because it's saying you're getting money from sport, but that should be injected back into sport rather than other areas. This is why I really like this one. There should be no sale taxes on consumer goods. Again, that doesn't really go with that structure, so it can't be this one. So the reason why I think here in this case it's D rather than A is because um, public transport is kind of, like in the same idea as roads, whereas here saying the tax shouldn't be put into something which is completely different from what the product was based on. So here in this paragraph of in A, it's saying it shouldn't be put into public transport. Public transport and roads are very, along the same line. That's why I don't really like A, and D is a much better option for me in this case. So I'm going to go with D here. So D is going to be our winner here. So hopefully guys that's made sense, and as always we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Alright guys, so previously we were looking at this question based primarily on taxes. Hopefully guys that question and that explanation that I made afterwards made sense. But now guys we're going to move on to the next question, which is IMAT 2016, and this is question 12. So it says, what is a clone but a twin? What is genetic engineering or selective breeding but assisted evolution? How often do we hear these excuses for man's arrogant interference with natural processes? Too often it is time to call a halt and consider just what limits need to be placed on the breakneck progress of biotechnology, if progress is even the right word to use. The big question for science and should not be what's in it for us, but could this have happened naturally? And if the answer is no, then we should not bring it about just because we have found that we can. If we do, we may live a bit longer or grow more food per acre, but we don't know where our meddling would end. So which of the following is a principle which underlies the above argument? So guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute, be sure to be back after that, and then we can discuss the discuss the answer to this question. Alright guys, so welcome back. So let's go through this. So basically, rather than rereading and wasting your time, essentially what the argument is essentially trying to say is that even though even though let's just say I'm going to write H as humans, even though humans can cause something to happen, I'll just call this S, right? Um, if essentially that if this thing can't happen naturally, if nature can't cause this something to happen, right? So if nature can cause that thing to happen, it's okay. But if nature can't cause it to happen and humans are forcing that to happen, even though if it's bad, you shouldn't do that. That's basically what the argument is trying to say. So let's go through these options. Nature would have its own way in the long run, so that's clearly not going to be it. Meddling with nature could only ever end in disaster. So here, it's just saying humans shouldn't force something, and also uh, this statement over here, this is also a common BMAT technique, is that it's very bold. It's a very bold statement. Bold statements are generally not the answer, so you can't be this one. Um, so it can't be that one. Science should not progress beyond what is natural. So that's clearly going to be it, isn't it, guys? This is quite obviously going to be the winner. But let's just go through the other one. It's time to call a halt of biotechnology advances. So this is very specific to the argument. Remember, the principles normally are going to be quite, broad, not really going to be linked to the argument most times. So it can't be this one. Cloning, genetic engineering, and selective breeding are not progress. Again, this is very specific to this passage, so it can't be that one. So hopefully you can understand here, guys, that C is going to be our winner. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. And as always, we look forward to seeing you in the next video.